Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. As you probably know, I've prepared a CELPIP Speaking Masterclass, which includes a separate, advanced, detailed tutorial for each of the 8 sections of the CELPIP Speaking test. Each tutorial includes a template along with special language boosters to push up your score. These language boosters are carefully chosen to match the content of each section and will show the examiner that you have a broad range of vocabulary items and expressions at your disposal. I've also included an example in each tutorial to show you exactly how the template and boosters can be used on the test. If you like these tutorials, you can access them all by becoming a member of this channel. As a member, you can not only access all the speaking tutorials, but you can also watch my writing walkthroughs and access additional sample tests as well. So without further ado, let's go over the tutorial for CELPIP Speaking Part 2. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is Sam from Fast Track ESL, and I'm back with another CELPIP Speaking tutorial. In this video, we're going to be covering CELPIP Speaking Part 2, talking about a personal experience. As always, we'll start by reviewing a sample question, then we'll go over some tips and tricks for note-taking. I'll introduce a template with the structure to organize your response. We'll go over some nice language boosters, which can help you boost up your score. And finally, we'll go over a sample answer that follows the template and incorporates some of the language boosters introduced. So, CELPIP Speaking Part 2 is called Talking About a Personal Experience. And as the name suggests, that's exactly what you guys are going to be doing. You're going to be talking about your personal experience, which usually means talking about something that happened in the past. Let's look at this example we have here. Talk about a time when you experienced something exciting. Maybe you can talk about a place you visited or a game you played. Where'd you have this experience? Who was with you? And how did it make you feel? As you can see, you have 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak for this task. So we have 30 seconds to prepare. How should we make the best use of this time? My first advice to you is quickly choose an event. Unfortunately, one of the mistakes that a lot of students make is that they think about their answer for too long. Should I talk about that video game I played, or should I talk about that new sports game that I played with my friends? It doesn't really matter. Just go ahead and pick the first thing that comes to your mind. Remember, your choice will not affect your answer. It's the quality of your speaking that ultimately decides what score you will get on this part of the test. So be quick about it and use your time to come up with additional details and more notes to help you with the task. After you've chosen the event, I want you to prepare 6 WH questions. So, the classic WH questions: what, when, where, who, why, and how. Each of these WH questions can help you reach the 60-second mark if only you spend a few sentences and just a few seconds addressing each of them. So in a sense, we're taking the task, which could be quite challenging, and we're breaking it down into 6 smaller parts. And each part is represented by a WH question. For example, my main response could be something like, the best game I played that was really exciting was Chicken Cha-Cha-Cha. When did I play it? Last year. Who did I play it with? With my friends. Why did I decide to play this game? Because it was a different activity. Where did I play it? At a board game cafe. What was the game like? Well, it was Chicken Cha-Cha-Cha, and perhaps I can explain a little bit about the game. And how was it? Well, I found it entertaining. Remember, in the note-taking time that you have, you only write down the questions. You don't need to write down the answers. The answers you already know, and you have the answers in your head. So simply write down the questions so you remember what to say. Okay, now for the template. We're going to review the template and how it can be used to best organize your response in a way that is understandable, clear, and coherent. For this task, you begin by providing context. You can repeat part of the question. The structure you use is, I'm supposed to talk about, and you review the topic that you've been asked to talk about. Again, it's okay if you repeat what is in the task. It's only a few words. But if you can paraphrase, well, that's always great. Next, you're going to state your choice. So what have you chosen as your main answer? You could say something like, I've decided to go with, and then you state your choice. After that, I want you to go over the WH questions in the same order that you think is most logical. What, when, where, who, why, and how. Remember, you could change the order depending on what you think is most logical. But don't be too fussy about it, because it doesn't really matter what order you present the information in, as long as it just makes sense and it's understandable. Remember, after answering each of these WH questions, add a few statements to provide an explanation for each. Don't browse through them too quickly. Otherwise, you run the risk of having some extra time on your hands. Finally, if you are left with 5 seconds or more, you could add a wrap-up to the end of your response. And a wrap-up could be, so that's why, and you restate your choice after that. Okay, time for language boosters. Let's see how we can impress the examiner and maximize our score. When you want to talk about something that happened in the past, sometimes you want to show that you're actually thinking and you can't really remember, so you're trying to remember the details of what happened. A very useful expression that you could use in this situation is, if my memory serves me well, or if my memory serves me right. So you could say something like, if my memory serves me well, it was last winter when blah, blah, blah. You can also say, it all began. For example, it all began last year when one of my friends decided blah, blah, blah. When you want to add excitement to your response, you could use an expression like, you won't believe what happened next. This is used when we are going to give some exciting or important information. Normally, something that the audience will find surprising. If you want to describe a good time, you could use expressions such as, we had a blast. We really enjoyed ourselves. Or, I really enjoyed myself. Had the time of one's life. So you could say, I had the time of my life, or we had the time of our lives. On the other hand, if you want to talk about a negative experience, you could use expressions such as, it was a really rough day, or it was a really rough time. It was the worst day ever. It was the most dreadful time. If you want to wrap things up quickly, so you've done a little explaining and then suddenly you want to wrap things up, you could say something like, to make a long story short, or long story short. For example, you could finish your response by saying, long story short, we decided to go home. Or, to make a long story short, we ended up playing the game until midnight. Remember, this part of the CELPIP speaking test is all about using the past tense consistently. So pay close attention and make sure you're using the verbs all in the correct tense. Finally, use and so to connect your statements together. You don't need to use other kinds of linkers. In spoken English, especially when we're talking about events that have happened in the past, it's very common to use so and repeatedly. Also, speakers tend to stretch out these words to add some time and to make it sound more coherent. Let's take a look at an example that follows the template and uses some of the language boosters so that you can see them in action. I'm supposed to talk about a time when I experienced something new and exciting. I've decided to go with a new board game I played called Chicken Cha-Cha-Cha. If my memory serves me well, it was last winter, around Christmas time. We were a group of 8 to 10 people. It all began when one of my friends suggested we do something different. You know, we normally spent our time going for walks or hanging out at restaurants, but that night we decided to do something exciting and different. So someone said, "Let's go play board games." And we all welcomed the idea. So we ended up going to a board game cafe downtown. We ordered drinks, we tried out some different board games. I found one of the games particularly fun, and that was called Chicken Cha-Cha-Cha. To cut a long story short, the game was really entertaining, and I remember everyone was really involved and they were all laughing and had the time of our lives. It was also pretty easy to learn, unlike some games that have a lot of rules and involve this huge learning curve. So that's why Chicken Cha-Cha-Cha is one of the most memorable and exciting games I've ever played in my life. There, I hope you found this video tutorial useful, guys. Remember to practice the template and leave a comment below with the language boosters you are planning to use on your big day. I hope you found this advanced tutorial useful, guys. Remember to practice the template and record yourself so you can review and improve your performance. I've prepared an advanced tutorial for all 8 sections of the CELPIP speaking test. You can access all of these tutorials plus additional content for writing and other practice material by clicking on the Join button on the home page and becoming a member of this channel. Good luck with your exam.